everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so thrilled to have all of you here for this incredibly special night tonight. My name is Megan Merkepsel. I'm the gallery director here at Loyola University. And here at Loyola, we have a program called Messina, and that's our first year experience program. And every year for Messina, our first years read a common text. So this year's common text, in case you weren't aware, was Chris Wilson's book, The Master Plan. And we were so thrilled to have him join us for that. But in reading The Master Plan, I realized that Chris was an artist. And so I was even more thrilled to invite him to another sort of tradition of the galleries, which is to have an exhibition that relates to the common text somehow, to kind of think through some of those concepts and ideas in a visual format. And who better to tell Chris Wilson's story from a visual format than Chris Wilson himself. So I was absolutely beyond thrilled when he said that he would do the exhibition with us. And I am just so lucky to get to work among these pieces every day. And I'm also very happy to have had Jeffrey Kent be involved in the project and curate the show and come install. And it was wonderful to get to meet you finally in person and have that interaction as well. I want to introduce Chris Wilson and to just give you a hint of why I'm so thrilled to have him and his work here today by reading his bio. Because I think you'll see how important the work that he does is, and how we in academic institutions and in galleries need his voice and so many others in our institutions and on our walls. So Chris Wilson is an artist that works to raise the collective consciousness, not only through images that are bright and beautiful, and they are, but through a real confrontation of what it means to be human and make mistakes, even terrible ones. He has built a successful career in the arts, displaying his work in galleries, exhibitions, and museums nationally and internationally. Most recently, he auctioned off his work, That's It, at Sotheby's, which is huge. He knows, however, that for many artists working today, the art world is impenetrable, reserved for the educated, the elite. How does an artist navigate this atlas of privilege, particularly emerging and even established artists of color? As an artist, Chris's practice, just like his life, is rooted in being of service. For Chris, the critical conversation is one that centers on how artists can transcend the barriers of power and privilege to successfully build a career in the arts. And so I'm so thrilled to have you, and this bio really speaks volumes of why. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have Jeffrey Kent coming to say some words.
Thank you, Megan. I want to thank Loyola for inviting Chris. I want to thank Chris for asking me to curate his exhibition. I guess it's fitting that he did. When I listened to the bio and the whole situation of how Chris and I met, who happened to be the people in this room who introduced us over here. It's kind of interesting and beautiful also. But Chris and I have been friends for quite some time. I met him a little after he was released. And when I met him, he wasn't doing art. And now he's like this amazing international star that creates these amazing works all over the world. And it's just so amazing. I'm so proud of him. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and hang these works in this gallery. These works are very beautiful, and they're also very thought-filled, which is a word that I've coined, and Chris has really taken very deeply in the way that he expresses himself in his work. The work is Chris Wilson, and it's deep, it's emotional, it's sensitive, and it's enlightening, especially for someone who hasn't had an opportunity to live the kind of life that people that look like Chris live. So I just want to thank you again for taking your energy and expressing it in the way that you have, and I want you to just keep growing and keep flying with brother.
Thank you. Wow, this is so wonderful. Especially, you know, I wanted you to speak because, I mean, you're instrumental in my art career. And I remember being introduced to Jeffrey Kent some years ago, maybe 8 years or 9 years ago. And I wasn't interested in art, even when I was in college. And I remember getting the big fat art history books, 1,000 pages, and I complained the whole semester of like, why do I have to read this stuff? I don't get it, I don't understand it. And I remember working long hours as a contractor here in Baltimore, hiring mostly returning citizens. And when I would get off work, I would go to Jeffrey's studio. And I would sit in the corner, and we would listen to house music, and Jeffrey would just paint. And he would paint, and he would make his art. And I am naturally an inquisitive person and asks a lot of questions. What is this work about? What does this mean? And he would tell me these amazing stories about race, about power, about inequities in our society, and just, you know, being proud to be black. And I did this for like 2 years. And 7 years ago on my birthday, I remember Jeffrey giving me a birthday gift. And he says, I got a gift for you. And I was like, all right, get your checkbook out, Jeffrey. And he said, I'm going to give you 5 art lessons. I said, dude, I don't want the art lessons. He says, yes, you do. And I remember taking these lessons, and I remember showing up for Jeffrey. The first session was a few hours, and I showed up to his studio. And he said, it was really strange. And he says, you know, art is all around us, Chris. Most people just don't see it. And I was like, I guess. And he says, you need to be able to defend your art. Every stroke, every color should be deliberate. You should research it. Like, what does it mean? What is the story that you're trying to say? And he says, think about something that you care about, Chris. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a strong advocate for criminal justice reform. And I said, I care about people that are incarcerated. I care about people who are returning home from prison. And I'll project. Yeah. I'm soft-spoken, so yeah.
It's okay.
And I care about people who are coming home from prison. So he says, put it into your art. And he was like, it also should look good, by the way, too, if people don't hang it. But then he said, I want you to get up right now and go out in the alley, find some trash, find something, and turn it into art. I said, Jeffrey, man, what are you talking about? Give me a canvas, give me a paintbrush. He says, art's all around us, go find something. So I said, I'm not really feeling this last studio visit like that. I'm not doing this anymore. But I went out there and I was looking through the trash. I was like, this is silly. And I found this palette by the Jiffy Lube or whatever the tire spot was by the studio. And I took the palette home in my truck and I started to do some research because he says, you know, you got to be able to defend your art. What is it, something you care about? And I started researching solitary confinement. Some of my colleagues who have spent time with me in prison are in this room. And some of us had spent some time together in solitary confinement for weeks, months. And as I started researching this, and I realized recently that the international community had deemed solitary confinement as torture. So I said, the American criminal justice system is torturing our people. And I started researching this further, and I realized that any given moment, there are 80 to 90,000 men, women, and children that are subjected to solitary confinement, which is torture. And so I started thinking about this. I was upset. I put my music on, and I just started painting and painting. And I remember like a week later, I brought this painting back to Jeffrey. And I showed
it the next day, but
no way. I showed Jeffrey this painting, and he just had like this look on his face. And I'm like, does he like it? Is he about to swing on me? Like, what is he going to do? And he says, he looked at me, he says, you painted this? I said, yeah. He says, Chris, don't ever stop painting. This was 7 years ago. Can't count how many paintings I've made, just under 200, and have traveled the world. It has changed my life. It has allowed me to provide scholarships for returning citizens. It has allowed me to buy my home in a beautiful neighborhood and pay my bills and just live a beautiful life. So I definitely want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me. And I also want to announce that proceeds from sales of this show will go towards supporting the University of Baltimore Second Chance College Program, which helps. Andrea, can you come up here? I want to put you on the spot. Come up here a little bit, please. Come on, sister. She can probably speak more to it about it, but education was instrumental in my transformation as a person. I went to prison as a child, a juvenile, and was sentenced to natural life in prison. And it was through the college program in prison, and it was through therapy and through faith that I was able to transform myself. And it wasn't just enough for me to do well for myself. As I educated myself in prison, I realized that I had a responsibility to help other people in prison, to go home and contribute to society and become a mentor. And so I've been doing this work for 10 years, and I will spend the rest of my life contributing to programs like this, supporting people who do this work, because I believe that there's so much untapped potential that is locked away in society, and we gotta do better. And I don't know, Andrea, if you wanna share a few words. And I'm sorry, Kathy, but I gotta give you a shout out. The judge that released me is in the room today. And I just want to say, I remember when I first met you since being released, when we were at the women's prison, which is a program that you support women that are coming home. And you walked me to my car. You was like, I want to make sure you got this car that you promised that you was going to get one day. And I turned to you and I asked you, because it was something that, there was so many temptations in prison. People knocking on my door on my birthday, get up, I got some whiskey, and get your cup, or just come do this. And I said, I can't, because I got this master plan, and I'm going home, and I got to do this work. And sometimes my own friends would say, bro, you're not going home. You got life. And I remember thinking about all of this. I finally made it home. And when I was walking to my car, I had to ask you, why would you risk your career to give me a second chance? And I remember you telling me that, you wrote letters, you've heard every BS and every story that everyone would say, but you said you saw something in me and you believed in me. And you said that you were glad that you made that decision. So I definitely want to thank you for giving me a second chance.
Amen.
I can't follow that. I should have known that Chris would do this to me. He's done this to me before, and it's always after this beautiful talk that he gives. But I just want to be super brief to tell you a little more about our program and our guys that are inside that have met Chris many times, and they aspire to do amazing things as well when they come out. We started our program at the University of Baltimore in 2016, which is when I met Chris. It's a college program. We have University of Baltimore college students incarcerated at Jessup Correctional Institution. We've served over 100 students since 2016. We have 45 right now there. Many have come home, and we have a bunch on campus continuing their education, which is the goal of our program, and Chris helps make that happen by donating to our program. But I brought Chris in 2016 when we started, and we were having a welcoming event. It was the second month of our program, and our guys got a chance to hear Chris speak. And he's come in probably like 4 or 5 times since then. And it's been fascinating to watch him interact with our students, because some of them have known him from when he was inside, and some of them obviously have gotten to know him over the years. And he truly is an inspiration to them. They all have your book. think you've autographed it all for them. But, you know, our goal is really to get them home. We have as many juvenile lifers in our program, and when we started out, our funding source said we couldn't serve them because of their sentence, and we were able to serve them anyway. And a lot of them will be coming out over the next 2 years because of new laws that have been passed in the state. And they went in at 16. They're, you know, they've been in for 20 years now. So it's going to be real exciting to see them and help them through their journey to continue their education on campus, because that's really what we're trying to do. Because, you know, education is important for all those reasons people talk about, you know, less likely to go back to the system, more likely to get a job. But we care more about the person and what it does to them as a human being. I've heard my students talk about how proud they are to be a college student and how they feel like a human being for their first time because people are investing in them and they care about them. When we give our students an not an application letter, when they apply and we give them an admissions letter and say, you're in, we accepted you, they're like, can I have another copy because I want to give my grandma a copy of this letter. So it's what it does to someone internally and what it does for their family. It's all of those reasons that we keep doing what we're doing, and Chris is a big part of that. So thank you so much.
I think that's it. We can go back to regular scheduled programming and enjoy your art. But thanks again, everyone, for coming out. It means a lot to me.
Congratulations.